Evening. I want to talk about somebody who I've been in contact with. First was about 3 months ago. A young fella, I won't name him, I will call him M. He contacted me, he got himself in a bit of trouble and he wondered whether I'd be able to speak to him and sort of give my, for what it's worth, the benefit of my past experience. So we've just had quite a long conversation and I wanted to speak about it while it's all still fresh in my head, because he is a perfect example right now of how somebody who finds themselves in a court of law, charged with quite a serious offence, well, a very serious offence, let's be honest, how confusing and how difficult it is to process what the hell's going on. So this guy was essentially caught doing a bit of couriering. Nobody else has been caught in connection with what was happening, and it turns out that it's around 20,000 ecstasy tablets. This fella's young, but he's switched on guy. I've had a good conversation with him, and I told him that when he goes to prison, his mental capabilities will stand him in good stead if he uses them in the right way, especially on his side of the fence. You can be intelligent in prison, but you can't be up yourself about it at the same time, and that's important because some people get their knickers in a twist about it inside. So I like the guy and I wanted to speak about him and I wanted to give him my time, so I did. He's, for his age, he's only in his early 20s. He's got a lot going for him, but he's having difficulty. He's now pleaded guilty, and I believe it's difficult to get the exact details from him, but I believe he's pleaded guilty to being knowingly concerned in the supply of Class A drugs. And he's pleaded guilty on the basis of he was a lesser role, which is, there are essentially 3 tiers of role: principal, me twice; significant, lesser. Now, after he pleaded guilty, his barrister decided to tell him that he thinks that the CPS are going to petition the judge to sentence him on the basis of him being the principal role or a significant role. I'm not sure why his barrister told him that, because I've spoken to him about his barrister and I get a little slight nagging doubt that his barrister, it's really difficult, but I did actually say to him halfway through the conversation, I think your barrister's got a foot in the other camp. I'd like to say that I don't believe that, but I know it happens and it wouldn't surprise me at all. Any kind of skullduggery that goes on in everyday life goes on in legal life as well, and prison life. But my reaction to what his barrister had said to him was that it's not possible for the CPS to now petition the judge to sentence him in a different role, because when you plead guilty in court, you do it after having your pleas and bases of pleas agreed by the Crown Prosecution Service with your barrister. There are cases where the judge can say, no, I disagree with that and here's my sentence and this is why. It's not common at all, but it does happen. But I think I put his mind at rest a little bit, because I said, listen, you've pleaded guilty to a charge, you have had your basis of pleas accepted, that's the end of that. That is absolutely the end of it. I said the only slight concern for you, and it can happen to anybody, is that the CPS bring another charge, some other charge. They might do, I doubt it. I think from what he's told me about his case, it's pretty clear cut, and he's pleaded guilty. So he will be entitled to a reasonable amount of credit, a reasonable discount on whatever sentence the judge starts at. But yeah, I just wanted to say that I feel as though this poor chap is potentially, I mean, he's being done a disservice even on the fact that his legal team don't explain things to him clearly. You know, it's a funny world we live in where essentially I'm having to explain it to him, and he's paying for his legal fee, legal advice and counsel as well. So it's an interesting one. And the reason he's paying for it is because he's still working. He works full time, and therefore he's not entitled to apply for legal aid. I did give him a little bit of guidance on that, in that I said to him, you know, when you come to be sentenced, which is it's going to be December the 3rd unless they postpone, put it back to another date, which is very common at the moment as well. But all being well, he should be sentenced on December the 3rd, and he does have a lot of personal mitigation. He's always worked. He's never been in trouble before. He's pleaded guilty at the earliest opportunity. He has one or two personal things that he will disclose, and so I've said to him, look, you have to be proactive here. You are your barrister's employer. You are his boss. You are your solicitor's boss. But you have to be proactive. They will do it lastminute.com. But you've got to just gently nudge it along. You need everything in place for the day of your sentencing. So he has some mitigation to present to the judge. I've advised him to write a short and concise letter. I'm going to offer to help him with that. I've done it before for people inside, and I have to say, without bullshitting anybody, I can't remember anybody being disappointed with the outcome. So you know why? Because I can write a little bit. Allegedly. But I want to help this fella. He's a nice young guy. He's got a brain in his head. This is a blip in his life, and he's really taking things on board. He just said to me at the end of the conversation that whatever it is, he'll just take it on the chin. And I said, well, funny enough, that used to be my mantra. And he said, well, do you know where I got that from? And I said, no. And he said, I got it from you. He said, I've listened to a lot of your videos and so on. He's read my book. And I said, well, just remember this as well. You know, when you're inside, make the best of a bad situation. It's possible. You certainly have some of the tools for it. And I said, never ever try to swim against the tide in prison, because they will drown you. And other people choose to do their sentences in other ways, but it always served me well enough. I'm going to speak to this young fella again. I'm going to help him as much as I can, and at the same time I'm very careful not to tell him something that may turn out to be not true. You know, my personal take is you're better off knowing the reality than living a dream. That's how I look at it. So I'm gonna help him as much as I can, and ultimately he'll do okay. I've said to him 3 months ago, and I remember saying it, and I said it again today. You'll be okay, Em. You will be okay. You'll be fine. So I just wanted to let you all know that. There's another thing that I spoke to a lady about today, prison-wise. That's for another time.